When is behavioral euthanasia the right decision? As a behavior consultant specializing in dogs with complex behavior concerns, I've had this conversation with many of my clients. And this is a highly stigmatized decision, so let's talk about it. The short answer is behavioral euthanasia becomes the right option when the level of risk associated with continuing on with management or behavior therapy, or the level of quality of life for the dog or others in the household, is no longer acceptable. But let's back up a little bit. Anytime you have a behavior concern with your dog, there are 4 ways to proceed: management only without behavior therapy, management and behavior therapy, sending the dog to live somewhere else, so returning to the breeder, the shelter, the rescue, or rehoming the dog, and behavioral euthanasia. Under that umbrella of behavior therapy and management, I'm including things like investigating physical health concerns, mental health medication, which is considered a first line of defense, and enrichment, which includes things like sleep hygiene. So when someone is considering behavioral euthanasia, it is because continuing with management only or management and behavior therapy is either no longer an acceptable level of risk or quality of life is too low. Part of my job as the behavior consultant is to help people assess level of risk. Quality of life can refer to the quality of life of the dog or of others in the household, and that includes vulnerable populations like children and other pets in the home. Risk can include risk to the pet themselves, to others in the home, or to the community. As a behavior consultant, it's never my job to tell someone which option they should choose. My job is to help them make an informed decision and to consider all of the different things that they should be considering in this situation. The reason it's never my place to make that decision is because I am not living in that person's shoes. There are so many variables that go into the very personal decision of what is an acceptable level of risk and what is an acceptable quality of life. Now you might be thinking, what about sending the dog to live somewhere else? Well, that's easier said than done. There are lots of dogs with no complex behavior needs who don't display any level of risk to the family themselves or the community, who can't find homes. And so first, we have to say, even if we do find the right place for this dog to go, we have to be able to keep the dog in the home for the period that it takes to find somewhere else. And if we've already decided that management only is not safe, quality of life is not high enough, that's a problem. There are a lot of other considerations too. Like, are we just offloading this concern to someone else and potentially making the dog's mental health worse in the process? Is anyone going to try harder or do more than the family that's already invested? What are the legal considerations, the ethical considerations, particularly when aggression is involved? Sometimes rehoming or sending the dog to live somewhere else is a viable option. But generally, when someone's choosing behavioral euthanasia, it's because it's not a viable option for their dog. If you are listening to this and considering behavioral euthanasia for your dog, please know that we have a number of resources in our Google document under behavioral euthanasia. And the resources are divided up into resources for when you're making the decision, for during the process, and for after making the decision. This is a decision that, in my experience, is always made with an incredible amount of love.